talk about 5 mistakes brands often make when running influence marketing campaigns, which hopefully will allay some of the people's fears who are slightly more hesitant, and then how to avoid them. Again, if you have questions, drop them in. Why am I talking about this? Well, I'm the CEO of Digital Voices, which is a kind of the global leader on YouTube creator marketing. So we help brands work with YouTube creators. Whichever platform that's on, often these creators were YouTube first and YouTube at their heart. We've run campaigns for FTSE 500 brands across the world in the last 4 years. And it's been very interesting because I used to work at YouTube. And then when I left, DLF was one of the first presentations that I gave, which is for me, that was a complete joy to come back here 3 years later when the company's completely changed and the industry's changed a lot as well. So I used to work on the platform side and realized a load of brands were coming to us and saying, can you help us work with creators? And no YouTube team was actually established at the time to do that. And also there was a debate like whether a platform should be setting up those brand relationships or whether they should stay impartial. So I started a company that actually partners brands and creators. And here are some of the clients that we've worked with. Some people probably in the room from those clients. So we're doing a lot with Unilever at the moment. Trainlinebooking.com, the NHS during lockdown to help recruit people for their emergency response bank for staff. There's a hell of a lot here. So you'll notice there are loads of different customers from lots of different industries. And what I find really interesting is that no one has yet owned the YouTube space in influencer marketing yet. So no agency that's come in has been YouTube first. And YouTube allows brands that you'd never think of in terms of doing traditional influencer marketing, like Surfshark, a VPN provider, or O2. They don't tend to have something really visual. Post Office was their travel money card. They don't tend to have a really visual product. So it wouldn't do that well on Instagram, which is where most people run their influencer marketing campaigns. So there's a huge variety of clients because YouTube offers access to influencers for a variety of non-visual products from a huge different variety of industries. So 5 mistakes and kind of how to fix them. Number 1, and this really touches on what Gemma said, not setting clear objectives. So from that poll, you could see that most people probably use influence marketing for brand awareness. If you've used influence marketing to drive sales before, please put that in the chat because that's really interesting. But we see influence marketing as fitting throughout the funnel. So content creators should be at the heart of everything you do. So brand awareness is the really obvious one everyone does. Raise awareness of a new product. Let's talk about that and get reach. Let's use influencers who have this audience that already trusts them and are captivated by what they say. Let's use them to get awareness about a new product out there or our brand values. Then you've got consideration, and we do things for that like app downloads, entering competitions, anything like for Fast Host, who are an IT service provider in the UK, we run something called the Techie Test, where for them, the entire value of a customer, the value of a customer is really high because they're trying to access these IT decision makers who will spend a lot of money on their entire organization. So we partner with YouTube creators who have interests in tech and interests in smart homes and interests in maths and computer science. And they will set a techie test question where you can click through to a website, enter the competition, enter your email address, your name, job title, and you win the chance to get like a ticket to South by Southwest or a £5,000 dream work from home setup. So that's a real consideration piece because Fast Hosts know the value of that customer is so high. Thirdly is sales. So if your one objective is sales and it's performance marketing, some agencies can do that. It's kind of our bread and butter, but make sure you say that from the outset. Be like, right, if we want sales, can we measure ROI? Can we measure CPA against our other channels? Just tell your agency that's what you want. And then finally, the one that was touched on earlier is like brand advocacy and evangelists. So if you want people to shout about how brilliant your brand is, to shout about brand objectives, to review products, that again is all possible with influence marketing. But one of the biggest mistakes we see is brands come in, they don't really know what they want to achieve, they throw loads of like 5 or 6 different key messages at a content creator and expect that to work. But if you give people 5 different calls to action, they won't do any of them. If you give them one clear call to action, they'll do them. So what we try to do is, if someone's focusing on, say, sales, we make that customer journey as easy as possible. The key message will be buy. There will be a custom landing page with a creator's face and a countdown timer that says, here's the offer, buy the product now. So we'll optimize every stage to make sure we're hitting exactly what the brand wants. So please be careful when you're doing influence marketing. Know what KPI you want to hit. It can be any of them. And honestly, we use influence marketing for performance a lot. It can be any of them, but please set it clearly. Forgetting the platform. This happens a lot. So you might set the objective, which would be sales. So say you set an objective, we really want people to sign up to NatWest. We've worked with a lot of fintechs. You say, like, we want people to sign up for this bank account. Okay, we immediately would say, you need to do YouTube then. Often clients come in and they go, oh my God, we really want to do TikTok for conversions. And you're like, no, but TikTok is great for brand awareness. It's not great for conversions. So try not to get too caught up on these trends. Set the objective first, and then we'll go to the platform. We'll tell you which platform optimizes for that. So if you're selling shoes, you can definitely do that on Instagram. We'd be like, great, conversion, sales, Instagram, that makes sense. Say you're trying to get people to sign up for a bank account. What we've found from our experience and multiple clients, TikTok, we've run campaigns on it, but 99% of people, it has a 99% bounce rate, often more than that, once people get to your landing page. Because when people are on TikTok, they're looking for short form content they flick through. They're not looking to convert. Whereas YouTube, you're kind of much more likely to be watching for a long time. You watch a video, you're in a browsing mood, you'll click on the link, you'll purchase. So what we've found is, like, different platforms drive different user behaviors. So TikTok, again, they just want to, there'll be great brand awareness. They might remember your content, your product, but they aren't likely to purchase from it. Instagram, that has a slightly higher bounce rate than YouTube, obviously much lower than TikTok. But say you swipe up from an Instagram story, if you're trying to drive downloads, you swipe up, there is still a much higher bounce rate than YouTube, and people spend less time on the session because, again, they're on their app, on their phone, trying to be distracted, trying to see what their friends are doing. Whereas if you go to YouTube, they have a much longer session dwell time once they get to your site, and then the lowest bounce rate of paid ads, TikTok, or any PR or any social media platform. We found this consistently across campaigns. So think about the outcomes and the audience you want, and take advice on which platform will get you there. Don't just be like, I've heard TikTok's a hot thing to do, I want to do it. I'm sure often your CMO has an opinion like that, but try and find a way to push back. TikTok has done something really good though. They've done this slogan that I'm sure you've seen, don't make ads, make TikToks. And I think the other thing you need to remember when thinking about the platform is content. So influence marketing depends on, these influencers do have reach, and they have relatively consistent reach, unless you make them produce content that is not optimized for that platform or is completely out of their normal content wheelhouse. So the fear when people said, oh, influencers are too independent, you often have to fit into their formats to succeed. So reach and the impact of your content depends on how well their content does. So we often see that dedicated videos on YouTube, where a brand has paid extra money to have a lot of control over the content, often performs worse than the normal content a creator would produce with a 60-second sponsored message about your brand in there. So if you want to maximize reach, you have to think about the platform first in terms of the content you're making. For TikTok, you've got to think about sound, you've got to think about challenges, you've got to think about comedy, you've got to be very relatable, very vulnerable, very raw. For YouTube, you should definitely be thinking about sponsored content, as in a 60-second sponsored message rather than a dedicated video. And you'll have to tailor that to each creator, or you can tell us what you want and we'll tailor it for you. But we spend a lot of time working out which formats succeed on a platform and then how a brand can integrate into those formats. So say you want to access a gaming audience and you're Just Eat, right? You wouldn't say, hey, can you do a video on your YouTube channel of you eating a takeaway while you game saying it's great? You'd say, hey, can you do a normal Minecraft build that you do, but during the video, can you order Just Eat for a section of it? So is it brand led or is it creator led is kind of the content choice you've got to make here. So please give the creators a flexibility, or think about the content as platform specific first. This again is something that happens a lot. I don't know if you've ever said, oh, I really love this creator, or my daughter watches this creator, or oh, we just really want to focus on brand fit. Any great agency we spend a lot of money on data tools. We have 4 different data tools to test audiences on different platforms for different creators, and to do things like assessing their audience authenticity. We have data on 15 million YouTube creators, as well as our historic data that only Digital Voices has on who has actually driven sales. So when a brand comes to us and says, we really want to do an influence marketing campaign, we immediately ask for their customer personas, and then we filter the creators by the audience first. So we'll put that customer information into our data tools, and it will give us a list of, like, from 15 million creators. Say you're targeting men aged 18 to 35 in the UK focused on tech, it will give us like 3,000 channels that speak to that audience. And then we have our campaign producers who deal with creators and executing the campaigns every day. They go through those 3,000 channels to work out the top 20 that could work with your brand based on that format partnership. So please try to avoid getting too hung up on talent specifically. This is like a media buy. You are paying to access that talent's audience. Don't think, I really like them. I really like Lydia. She really fits what our brand wants to say. Let them be independent. Let them have the power they do of their audience, your target customers. It's not the creator you should focus on, it's their audience. Being too prescriptive creatively. This is a really interesting one, because I think, like I've mentioned for platforms and content earlier, don't limit your reach. If you're too prescriptive creatively, the content will perform worse. We, as an agency, we get around this because we guarantee results for every campaign. So if you're looking for a brand awareness campaign, we will guarantee a certain number of organic views. And if we don't hit that view number, we will give back our agency fee to the brand. So it's like, if you don't get what you want, we don't make money as an agency, which is really putting our money where our mouth is. This is why we can say, look, if you want 1 million views and you're asking for an unboxing review of a Monzo card, it's not going to work. So we won't sign off that campaign or agree to do it until we know that the creative flexibility is there. I think this can be really scary though for brands. I understand, because you often, if you talk directly to a creator, it can be a nightmare, and they can have ideas that don't match your brand at all. So this is where a specialist agency in the middle that can do that, like hundreds of emails of negotiating, that can take all the approvals away from you, that can play bad cop when a creator sends content that isn't right. That's where a specialist agency will really come in and prove their value. I mean, very recently, we've had a creator say, I don't know why brands put dates on contracts. Why can't it just happen as inspiration strikes? And we're like, well, that's how creators work often. They're not business people. They're not necessarily capable of understanding budgets or marketing timelines in the same way. So it helps to have an agency sitting in the middle that can speak their language and also speak your language. And then finally, if you don't measure success and then scale up, you're missing kind of the power of influence marketing. So if you have like a brand awareness CPM goal that you want to measure against your other marketing channels, that's fine. If you have a CPA from paid ads you want to beat, great, tell your agency that. If you have a positive ROI number that you want to reach, once that influence marketing strategy works, keep spending on it. Because what we do is we, with the data tools, we also have an affinity profiling option. So say one creator drives huge sales for you, the next campaign, we can affinity profile their audience and see who they watch as well. And we can kind of scale up that way by sponsoring people who share the same audience and driving more positive ROI. So if that's brand awareness and you see influence marketing's working, scale up the spend or put it on always on. Make it kind of a long-term part of your strategy. If it's sales, and we have a client that we've worked with for over 2 years now, actually, I'll show you. They increase their monthly spend and they're on an unlimited retainer every month, as long as we hit a certain return on investment benchmark. So in October, you see the dip here in sales. That's when they told us they wanted to focus on brand awareness and getting more views rather than just on return on investment. Whenever they've told us they want to focus on return on investment, we do really well as this upward trend. So we can drive more sales with the more information we have. But it is perfect for us to have this partner that says, right, as long as you earn back X amount of our marketing spend within 30 days, we'll keep scaling up. Because it means we can learn with every campaign, we can hit new markets, we can develop relationships with new audiences, and they don't have to worry about it. This is scale that they couldn't get internally. So if you know what you want from the outset and you set those objectives clearly, you can scale up and make it always on with not too much effort from you, and you have a great internal case study and a great kind of internal source of consistent long-term customers. So set your objectives, be led by the platform, including in creative as well as outcomes. Don't get too hung up on talent. Don't be too prescriptive creatively, and scale up when it's going well. Because if it's competing with your other marketing channels, scale up. If you have any questions, some of my team are here today in the breakout rooms, but also just reach out to Jenny at digitalvoices.co.uk. Happy to have a chat.